Welcome to our lecture today. What we are going to be talking about is the documents of democracy, and what those are they are the 5 most important documents that help shape our view of how our government is supposed to run. And as you can see at the very bottom is a timeline, and I want you to pay particular attention to this timeline because you are going to be creating one later on this week. And what I want you to pay attention to right now is how the timeline is spaced out. There are 5 dates on here, and the more time in between dates, so in between 1215 and 1689, it's well over 450, 60 years, something like that. So there's more space on the timeline between those 2 dates. Conversely, if you look on the right hand side, the last 2 dates, there's only 2 years in between them, so they are close together. So when you are creating your timeline, you want to do the same type of thing. More space in between dates, more space, more years in between dates, more space on the timeline between both events. Less years in between dates, less space. So let's go ahead and get started with our lecture. And the first document that helped influence the way we view democracy is the Magna Carta. And as you know, we've talked about this a little bit already. The Magna Carta was created in the year 1215 in England, and it was a contract between the king and the nobles. It did not apply to peasants or people of lower social standing, just the rich, land-owning males and the king, and that's it. And what it said was that there is now going to be due process of law, meaning the laws must be known and the government must follow. And that is the key point, that the government must follow, specifically the king. In the past, if the king didn't like you, boom, out of here, he would say, and you'd be killed. You'd be taken, head chopped off. There were no questions. Now the king can't do that unless you break a law. He can't do that just because he doesn't like you. Now, because of the Magna Carta, he must follow laws. King could not take property and raise taxes without consent. Consent from who? Think about it. Who does the king need to be getting consent from? That's right, the parliament. And we talked about that on Friday, that the parliament is sort of like our Congress, senators, elected officials. So the king cannot do whatever he wants. So we're all trying to limit the power of the king right now. And then finally, like we talked about, monarch must obey laws. The rule of law became a democratic tradition, which is in our society today, in our government today. President Obama just can't go around shooting people because he likes. He has to follow the laws, and if he breaks the laws, he can be persecuted. Here is there was a picture of the Magna Carta, very, very old. The next document that influenced democracy was the English Bill of Rights that took place in 1689 in England, and you did some work on this already as well. It ensured, what did the English Bill of Rights do? It ensured Parliament was superior over the monarchy. What is the Parliament again? That's right, it is the Congress. So the English Bill of Rights put more power in the Parliament, a group of individuals, over the monarchy, and it controlled, in quotation marks, the power of the purse. What does that mean? Simply, Congress, that group of people, now controlled whether the money was spent and how it was spent. It wasn't controlled by the king. So if the king wanted to go to war and spend all this money, guess who he had to get approval from? That's right, the parliament. And that is a big change, because before, if the king wanted to go to war, he would just go to war, tax the nobles, tax the poor people, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. Now, starting 1689, king can't do that. He has to get consent from the parliament. In addition, it guaranteed free elections of parliament. That means everybody had to get elected by their peers. Similar to the way we have elections today, that we are going to have a representative government in England, that people are going to be elected to do work for the masses. It created a constitutional monarchy and a limited monarchy. So they would now have a constitution. There were a set amount of rules in there, and it all was to limit the king and the queen's power and give more power to the parliament, to the people who were being elected by the citizens of England. And finally, it prohibited excessive fines and cruel and unusual punishment. And it confirmed the principle of a habeas corpus. Now, habeas corpus was brought around before, and this is very important. You're going to need to know what this is. Habeas corpus is a legal procedure that ensures that if you get arrested, you have to go before a judge as soon as possible to determine whether you can be held, whether the crimes against you are worthy. So in the past, what would happen if the king did not like you, or if you were saying something bad about the king would throw you in jail, leave you there for 4 years, forget about you, and then let you out. Or say, are you going to talk bad about me? If you say yes, then he lets you out. Now with habeas corpus, if you get arrested for whatever it is, you have to go in front of the judge, and that judge will determine if this arrest is good or not. And if it's not, you're a free man or woman. And if it is good, then you'll be thrown back in jail, and you'll get a speedy trial as fast as possible. And English Bill of Rights, again, on the right-hand side. So again, know what habeas corpus is. Declaration of Independence is the next document that helped influence democracy, and this specifically relates to us in the United States. What do you think the Declaration of Independence did? It says it in the title. That's right. It declared our United States independence. It was a document written in 1776, and it broke away from the rule of Great Britain. We had set up colonies. The English came over. They set up colonies. And in 1776, there was a document written saying we are no longer part of, under the control of Great Britain or England. Rather, we are our own sovereign nation. It stated that all men were created equal by including John Locke's ideas of natural rights, and he referred to these as unalienable rights, and they are a life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And in our next unit, the Enlightenment, we're going to talk way more in detail about John Locke and these unalienable rights that all of us, including yourself, have today. What else did the Declaration of Independence do? It stated that government power comes from the consent of the people, and this is popular sovereignty, that the people who are elected to rule are get that power to rule, get that power to make decisions from us, the people. That when we elect them, we give them that power. If we do not like what they are going to do, they will not be elected again. And that's simply what that means. And the creator of the Declaration of Independence, the author, is Thomas Jefferson. Right there, you see a picture of him there, and the document is down on the right-hand corner, right there for you. The fourth document is the French Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen. Yes, that's a long title, but that is what the French, as you can tell, thought it was. There we go. It was written in France, 1789, and it helped inspire the French Revolution. We are going to actually spend a whole unit on the French Revolution after the Enlightenment unit, our third unit, and it's a very important. It's very important in the history of the world, and especially when you're talking about the development of democracy around the world. So we're going to get more into that later, but. The French Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen was modeled after the English Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence. And what it said was freedom and equality before the law is important. That people will have freedom and they will have equality under the law. The law must state that people have freedom and equality to do that.